Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about 5 signs she's not worth it. And basically 5 red flags, okay, that you need to look out for to prove to you that she's not worth it and you should no longer be spending time with her. It's time to back away from her. It's to, basically to not pursue her any longer. So, first of all, I want to talk about a different kind of red flag that maybe you may not have come across before. And that is sometimes a red flag is just something that is just something that you consider to be a deal breaker for you. Okay? Now, because you know that if you continue to date that person, it's not going to work out because there's too many deal breakers there. Okay? So for example, right, because this can be tailored to, there's so many different scenarios that this could work with, but for example, let's say that you are a huge music enthusiast, right? And let's say you've got like guitars, like on your wall, you've got like loads of vinyls and albums and stuff, and you like maybe you even like a certain genre. Let's say you really like heavy metal, right? And that is a lot of your identity is based around heavy metal. You go to gigs maybe once or twice a month, things like that. It's a huge part of your life, it's a huge part of your identity. Okay? And you meet a woman who just hates heavy metal, right? She's hot, she's good looking, right? And she may even be like a really nice person, but she hates heavy metal. And she thinks that having guitars on the wall is stupid, right? And she doesn't like vinyls. Perhaps she just likes to use Spotify or something like that, but whereas you really love vinyls and things like that. So that's a red flag, right? Even though there's not necessarily anything she's doing wrong, it's the fact that there's something so really super important to you and it's not important to her, right? At all. Okay, that's a red flag. That can be considered a red flag for you, right? In your personality and stuff like that. You need to find a woman who is not only just doesn't have like huge red flags, but also a woman who actually likes the same things as you, right? Someone who you can enjoy the company of. Because what you really want is you want someone, right? You want a woman who will come and be with you, come and hang out with you, come and go with you to these things, right? And it's not a good idea to try and force someone into your way of thinking as well, right? Because you might think, oh yeah, I can get her into this music, I can get her to change. It's best to assume that the person that you're dating and the things that they're saying is true, right? And they're not going to change. You have to assume that, right? You may try, but if you can see things are not working and she still hates it or she's kind of like rolling her eyes at it, then you know that girl is not for you, right? So a red flag isn't just like toxic behavior traits, but also what are the deal breakers for you? What's important to you as a human being, right? And if you go on a date with a woman and she is not displaying the same kind of level of interest in those things and she doesn't care about those things, right, then it's not a good idea to continue dating that woman because you're gonna be butting heads, right? And it's not a good idea to try and force someone into your way of thinking because they'll just resent you for it. And whenever you drag them along to gigs, using that same example, they're just going to be like rolling their eyes. They're going to be having the worst time ever. They're not going to be enjoying themselves, right? And you want someone, and if they're not enjoying themselves, they're going to be difficult to deal with, right? Right? They're going to be very difficult to deal with. Or they're going to want to make you do stuff that you don't want to do. Like, okay, yeah, we went to go and see Metallica, but now now that I've done that for you, you've got to come and see Beyonce with me. And you might be like, oh no, not Beyonce, right? You might really hate Beyonce. So it's one of those things, right? You have to really be careful with who you pick as a partner, because even if you do pick someone who doesn't like the same stuff as you, especially if it's a really big part of your identity, they're going to resent you or you're going to resent them eventually. And that is a recipe for disaster, okay? So obviously red flags for you might be other things as well, like the universal ones, like let's say, for example, that you really want to be in a faithful relationship and the person that you're dating, the woman that you're dating, doesn't value that and would rather sleep around. That's obviously a red flag, right? It's not just with things that are part of your identity, but also things that are, things that you value in a relationship as well. Maybe you value marriage and having kids and she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't want to have kids. Maybe she doesn't want to get married. Right, maybe she's more of a free spirit or whatever. I don't know, right? How these people talk about themselves are, but perhaps they're more like that, And if marriage and kids is really important to you, if you stay together, you're gonna resent her a lot for not doing those things, because it's a huge part of your identity and your values, you see. So the first sign then, so the first red flag, right, out of these 5 is anything that is a deal breaker for you personally, okay? So you got to get really clear basically on what it is that you want in a relationship. What do you value in a relationship? What is your identity? What is your interest? And you have to find someone who is similar to you. So not only are you attracted to each other, but you can actually enjoy each other's company, and you can like share activities together, right? Because what you got to remember is you're going to be spending potentially 50 years with this person if you're looking for a serious relationship, right? So you got to be really careful with who you pick, because that's a long time, okay? That's a really long time. So you want to spend time with someone who is like you, who you can enjoy being around, and they enjoy being around you. You have a good time, you have fun, you laugh a lot, you like the same things, right? Because you don't just want to be like sexual partners and have a huge attraction for each other, right? But you also want to be friends. You want to be able to enjoy each other's company, right? It's so important, okay? So let's get more into the more sort of like universal stuff, right, of what you need to watch out for and red flags in women, okay? So the next one then is hot and cold behavior. If your woman that you're dating is acting hot and cold, right, and let's say she's, I don't know, she's there 1 minute and gone the next. Like, let's say, for example, she hangs out with you and then you don't hear from her in like 3 months, and then she reaches out to you again, right? That kind of, things like that, right? If she's showing hot and cold behavior, what you got to realize is that she's sending you mixed signals. And there was a quote that I saw recently, and it's one that I see all the time, and that is, if someone is showing you mixed signals, just take it as a no, right? And sometimes hot and cold behavior can be mixed signals, and usually with this kind of thing, which you really need to be aware of, is if a woman is being hot and cold with you, and she's there 1 minute, she's gone the next. Sometimes she's super interested in you, sometimes she just flat out ignores you and doesn't want to speak to you. Sometimes it's because there's actually some other guy in the picture, or maybe an ex has come back or something like that in her life, right? And then when it doesn't work out with them, they come back to you and they fall back on you, right? It's never a good idea to be with a woman who is, or try to be with a woman who is acting like this, right? Take the mixed signals as a no, and that it's not going to work out, okay? So another red flag is that if she's clearly using you, okay? So that means if she's always asking for money, or she's always asking you to do things for her, and you're not really getting that much in return. Like perhaps she's doesn't want to go out on dates with you, perhaps she doesn't want to become exclusive with you, perhaps she's been a bit elusive, a bit mysterious in that kind of way, right? And she's like, she's asking you for stuff. Basically, she's asking you to come and fix things, she's asking you for money, she's asking you all these different things. But when it comes down to it, she's not willing to go out on dates with you. She's not willing to sometimes pay things for you. Because what you want in a relationship is you want someone who's a giver. Not only do you obviously want to treat your lady, but she should also treat you as well. Like with my wife, and stuff, she was buying me little trinkets almost straight away, right? And it was just like really sweet. It showed me that I was with a giver, and I was paying for like different things as well. I was paying for meals, and sometimes we would go to the cinema and stuff like that, and I was paying some of that, right? But she showed me that she was a giver because she would buy me like little tiny little things. Like I remember she got me a BB-8, right, from Star Wars, right, BB-8, but it was shaped like a cat because I like cats, right? So it was just something really thoughtful and really sweet. And it was just like a really nice gesture, and it was a really nice thing for her to do. And it's just really sweet. So basically, not only are you looking for a woman who that you like and that you're attracted to and that you enjoy the good company of, but you also want someone who's a giver too, because you don't want to be the one that's always giving and they're always taking, right? So you need to watch out for women that are always taking and they're never giving you anything in return, right? So you have to be very, very careful of that. So if she's clearly using you, it's a red flag, okay? So another sign that that she's a red flag is if she lies, right, and has inconsistent stories, right? So if she's like lying about her family or her friends, or basically just lies, right? And I dated a woman who was like this. I dated a woman who was probably like on the severe scale of this, who was a compulsive liar, and she was making up some really, really big things about her life. And it was a deal breaker for me. Like I knew it was a red flag. I knew there was something up with that. Like she was being very, very mysterious in that kind of way, and it was very weird, and I couldn't quite understand why she was doing it. What I drawn the line at eventually was, I think maybe she either had like some kind of like weird mental health issue, or there was some sort of like big secret in her life, like she was already in a relationship, or she, or something like that, or she had a kid or something. I don't know, right? I don't know what was going on there, but it was either those two things. Like, she was either hiding something from me, like on the romantic side, or she had a mental health issue that couldn't help, where she couldn't help but be a compulsive liar. So just really watch out for women who lie. And you can usually start telling these things by, like, after a few months of dating them. You can see if there's like any inconsistencies with her story. But what you got to remember is, if she is willing to lie, to you about all these different things, right? If she's willing to lie to you, what else could she be willing to do in the future? What else could she be lying about in the future? Because you're not going to be able to trust her if she's just lying all the time, okay? You want to be able to have a relationship where you trust a woman, right? But if she's lying to you, then that trust goes right out the window, okay? Even if you call her out on it, right? There's still a high chance that she's still going to continue to do that, and it's not a good idea to be with someone who's lying, because she may even be lying about the fact that she's not lying anymore, right? Okay? So the fifth red flag, and the last red flag I want to talk about, is if she doesn't respect you, right? It's important that when you're in a relationship with someone, that you both respect each other, okay? So disrespect could be her belittling you in front of people, right? That could be a sign of disrespect. The fact that she doesn't respect what you're into, like she doesn't respect the things that you like. She doesn't respect, let's say you're really into a certain genre of books, and she doesn't like that about you, right? Or she belittles the fact that you like them, or something like that. Or perhaps you've always, like, since a kid, you've been collecting things like Pokemon cards or baseball cards or something like that. Like, you have like a little hobby that's really important to you, right? And maybe it's something that's not such a big deal because you like to do it on your own anyways, right? And you don't really want to find someone who's exactly like you and has the same interest in that kind of thing. But let's say you've been doing it since you were a kid, and she thinks it's stupid. Right? You don't want to be with someone who doesn't respect you like that, right? And it's the same with you. You got to respect her as well, right? If you go on a date with a woman, and there's a lot of things that she does, there's a lot of hobbies that she has that you really disrespect, and you think they're really dumb and stupid, it's not a good idea to stay with that woman, because you're not going to be able to help but like have like little remarks about it, right? You can be the nicest person in the world, but if you genuinely think that whatever your partner is doing is stupid, and they think it's really cool, right? It's gonna hurt, right? It's not gonna be a nice relationship, and you there's gonna be like a Freudian slip at some point where you let on about how much it annoys you, how much it irritates you, and how much you don't respect it. Okay, so those are some red flags to watch out for, right? Obviously, there's some big ones as well. There's some ones that maybe I didn't mention there, but like I talked about, like monogamy. You got to really think about that, right? And if you want someone who's a cheater or something like that, because there are a lot of women out there that are unfaithful, as well as there is with guys as well. So you got to watch out for those things. But the important thing to know is what are deal breakers for you, what's important to you, and to find a woman basically who is in alignment with those things, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye.